Welcome to Cardboard Content, where we aim to develop our skills and grow the competitive Commander community. Hey guys, it's me, Benedict. I have a friend here joining me today.
How's it going, guys? Patrick.
Thank you for joining me. I know you play a little more bracket 3 than me, so that's why you're here. Okay. We're gonna go over the new unbans. Caught me off guard. How about you?
I thought there'd be a few more, but I mean, 5 is cool. I mean, I read a little bit in their article that they said they didn't want to change things too quickly. They said that the bracket system was already a lot of people don't even know about it already, and so they didn't want to change things too quick.
When the RC prior to Wizards banned stuff, they asked Wizards apparently, and they said, hey, we're gonna ban these cards, and they said, no, you shouldn't do that. Mm-hmm. And then they got a lot of, bad feedback about those cards. And I thought Wizards was gonna, fix that potentially, and it seems like it didn't happen. So that was my prediction for some of those cards to come back, but I guess they didn't want to change it. So here we are. I personally am not a huge fan of the current meta, but I'm willing to adjust.
So what do you mean you're not a fan of the current meta? So are you talking about CEDH meta?
The CEDH meta is primarily everyone sits on heuristic study, either copying it or even stealing it, and it sits there and goes back and forth till someone makes a win attempt on not their turn, just when they think they have the proper time, thanks to heuristic study.
So would you say heuristic study defines the format?
It is shaping it. Whoever gets the heuristic study first and outvalues them is primarily the guy who is gonna win.
Is there even an argument to be made that the person who plays the heuristic study, right, they're also looking to steal it?
Yeah.
So technically you might even be better off not playing the heuristic study first to try and steal the heuristic study?
Could be a strategy. The main strategy is you're mulliganing either a way to get early win con before they set up for that heuristic study, or a pathway to get to that heuristic study. Typically, when you sit down at a pod, what is I know it's a bit more casual and the intent is not, always to win, it's pretty much to have a good time, gauge your deck.
Yeah, and I would say in a nutshell right there, it's to have a good time. So, and it depends on what your estimation of what a good time is. And to me, I'm constantly saying, do you want to pay 1? Would you like to pay 1? Would you like to pay 1? To me, that's not having a good time. And so even if the card is going to win me the game, personally, I'd rather just not play the card, because the experience of asking every time, do you want to pay 1, is just really repetitive and frustrating, personally. So some people might just forego playing the card just because they don't like the play pattern it makes.
Well, let's go over these new unbans that the Wizards of the Coast gave us, because it is now a real format, guys. Wizards of the Coast controls this mostly now, so I'll start off with the Gifts Ungiven.
Okay.
This is a card I put in my deck as soon as it became unbanned. Gifts Ungiven, 3 in a blue instant. Search your library for up to 4 cards with different names. Reveal them, and the target opponent chooses those and puts the rest into the graveyard, then shuffle.
What's interesting about this card is it gets you 4 cards, right? I think what keeps this in check in lower brackets is it already says part of if you look at the bracket descriptions, it says fewer tutors or not that many tutors. It literally says that in the bracket description. And this is a card that gets you literally 4 cards in one. So while it is 4 mana and expensive, you're paying 1 mana for every card, which is on rate with something like a Vampiric Tutor. So in CEDH, do you think this card will be played?
Yes, 100%.
Okay. How much better is it than Intuition?
It's a turn later. 2 cards in your hand is much better than 1 card in your hand.
Yep.
So it couldn't be in that situation where, hey, I need 2 counter spells, or I need some protection. This guy's gonna win. I target you. Can you give me these 2 counter spells?
Sure.
And then you coincidentally put 2 combo pieces in your graveyard.
And I think you bring up a great point about this card, is it's a really good, you get to interact with other players, right? You get to have a conversation with other players, and you can say, hey, we can help each other out by getting these cards if someone else is the main threat.
What do we have next?
So the next one is Sway of the Stars. Sorcery blue, 8 colorless, blue, so it's 10 mana total. Each player shuffles his hand, graveyard, and permanents he or she owns into their library, draws 7 cards. Each player's life total becomes 7.
Okay, this was bound to come off.
Okay.
They took off Worldfire. I saw Worldfire and this were like very kind of similar. My thought process is, I'm gonna cast Sway the Stars, and now this turns this kind of into a pseudo 1v1, because now your opponent or opponents have 20 or 21 life, right? Because there's 3 guys, everyone's set to 7. Now I can play a burn deck, and then I could be like Flame Rift. Okay, now everyone's at 3.
Sure.
Oh, Lightning Bolt. Chain.
Yeah.
I win.
Sure.
it's that it could be that simple, right?
Yeah. And one of the arguments I've heard against this card is that it invalidates the decisions of the game because it basically just kind of resets everything.
That's an argument for a lot of the cards. Okay. It invalidates like people's. It's 10 mana.
Yep.
The game's been going on.
Yeah.
The game's. Hopefully you have some type
of... And now it gets to go on much longer.
The game shouldn't last much longer at that point, in my opinion. People are going to start rebuilding, yes, but I mean, 7 life is nothing. Get your commander out there, hopefully has some attack power. And
okay. I've never seen this card actually cast. When it was standard, it was never cast, and I've never seen it cast in commander. So I don't know how it would feel when this card is cast. When it is inevitably cast against you, how do you think you'll react?
In CEDH, I don't think it matters much, just because.
Would this card even have a home in CEDH?
For people, if they want to have fun, and like there are those fringe decks, maybe even bracket 4 people will enjoy this. But you could, I mean, I could picture this like in a deck that tries to turbo out an Omniscience or something along those lines. A Dream Halls deck. I mean, I haven't seen one of those in a while, but
very powerful card.
It is. Yeah. It is. I mean, it doesn't matter what your opponents put down or show and tell. Let's say you show and tell an Omniscience, and then they put something in. It doesn't matter at that point because you're gonna cast away the stars and everything's gonna be gone.
Yeah. You can build your deck planning around the card.
Yes. It could be possible to phase out some of your cards, like a Teferi's Protection or something like that. Cast Teferi's Protection. If you have, like, cast it, hold priority, cast Teferi's Protection. I mean, you just spent 13 mana there, but...
Or you could have some cards on suspend, waiting to come in.
Or waiting to come in, yeah. If you build around it, I think this can potentially be fun.
I'm actually really excited to see this card cast. I know this might not be a popular opinion, but I like this card. I like this card just because it is kind of goofy. I don't think that it invalidates people's decisions. Like, if you play well and you played your deck well, someone casting Sway of the Stars does not invalidate the fact that you played a good game. Braids, nicest smile in the universe. Cabal Minion.
So Braids Cabal Minion, 2 black and a black. Legendary creature, human minion, 2/2. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player sacrifices an artifact, creature, or land of their choice.
I've never played against this card in Commander. I have played against it in Constructed. When it's good, it's extremely snowbally. When it's not good, it basically does nothing.
Yes.
And so it kind of has this feast or famine type built into it. The thing about Bracket 3 is that you get to see their commander before they play it. And if you don't want to play against a Braids Cabal Minion, you could just say, I'm not going to play it, or hey, do you have another deck? Like, a Turgid is far more worse than this, and Turgid wasn't banned.
Yeah.
And so...
It could be early devastating. I could picture a turn 1 Braids with a Bitter Blossom.
Sure. But that's not going to happen in, like, a Bracket 3 deck. That would never happen. I mean, I've never seen that. I've never seen a 4-mana card come out in turn 1.
Okay, yeah. I mean, it's possible, right? Dark Ritual, Soul Ring.
It's possible.
Chromox.
It's possible.
And then you're done.
Yeah. And then everyone scoops and they start over. I mean, like, if that's the game you want to play. We can play that game, sure.
I mean, it's just, it is possible, I'm just saying.
Possible.
It is possible. It could happen in CEDH also.
Yeah, definitely.
Is it going to? You're still playing mono black. as good as Turgid was, it wasn't played still.
Right.
Yeah. So comparing that to Braids, I don't think it would be. I'll probably see some fringe play here and there, just so people can max it out and see what its maximum potential is. But the likeliness of this being played, in my perspective, is slim to none.
Do we want the next one?
Yep.
Coalition Victory. It is 3 colorless and then Wooburg, so 1 of each color. It's a sorcery. You win the game if you control a land of each basic land type and a creature of each color.
It was bound to be unbanned. This card, it is a 1-card win con, but that's Zoracle. I mean, this card, I honestly didn't play back then, so I don't know why this card was really banned and why it stayed banned for so long. This update was a very, very good update. I have people in my LGS that are trying to play this card. They're just trying to have fun.
For the memes.
Yeah, for the memes, and trying to cast the 8 casting cost sorcery and potentially get that win.
They're trying to check it off their bucket list. Basically.
Yeah, check it off their bucket list.
Yeah.
Do you think the lower tier brackets are gonna?
I mean, I think people will. Okay, so I guess it depends on the cards, the way you like to win the game. I personally don't think this is a very interesting card. All you really have to do is, I mean, you're playing a 5-color deck, so you have a couple triomes on the battlefield, which already have a bunch of land types. You have a 5-color commander, presumably. I mean, there's a few commanders that are not 5-color that are 5-color.
Yeah.
But they're 5-color. So technically, you just play your deck, you have your commander on the battlefield, you cast this card, and you win the game. I mean, to me, that's not exactly interesting. It is a way to win. I don't know how many Bracket 3 players are actually interested in a game like that. I personally am not. I'm not interested in playing this card. I would be far more excited to play Sway with the Stars.
Will it be played?
Will it be played? I don't know. My guess is like fringe play.
Okay.
Would be my guess.
I mean, removal, even if you have that 5 casting cost commander, balancing it, right?
Any instant speed, yeah.
Any instant speed.
Yeah.
Removal or a counter spell. It's a sorcery. You can interact with it. Hopefully, you have some type of counter spell. It does cost 8. It's not like they're gonna cast this turn 2. The land, there is some lands that you can get rid of. I think people play Boseju. I think that gets rid of lands.
Yep.
You can bounce things, obviously, and I think this card is a fine unban. So,
absolutely.
Yeah. Next card, we got Panoptic Mirror. This card, I wasn't
expecting it.
I didn't expect it, and I think it was a good unban. Panoptic Mirror. Did you know this is they only had 1 printing of this?
It's never been reprinted.
Yeah.
I didn't check the price on it, so
it's about $50 at this point.
Okay.
Yeah. Panoptic Mirror 5 artifact. Imprint X. You may exile an instant or sorcery card with a mana value of X from your hand. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may copy exiled card with this artifact. If you do, cast this card without paying its mana cost.
The idea was you play the mirror, you put a extra turn spell on it. You go to your next turn, and then you take extra turns for the rest of the game. Just recast it every upkeep. I would say now with the bracket system, in the description of the brackets, that you are not expected, just like you don't play mass land destruction, you don't chain extra turns. Maybe you play like 1, but you are not expected to cast extra turns in that bracket. The only bracket that would be expected in is 4 or higher. Just by definition of the bracket, this card you would never put an extra turn spell on this card. So I think that already is the safety valve in itself, is the bracket description. And then the other part that they mentioned here in the description of why they unbanned it, but it was part of the concern is, well, what if you put, like a farewell on this and you just board wipe the game every turn? Well, I would think that's not really that good either, because now you have 3 people who are mad at you. I don't really see this as being an issue.
Yeah, a lot of the people they did a real good job of the bracket system preventing things like this. In the higher tier brackets, you're going to need 10 mana. If you want to take infinite turns, and you have to wait for an upkeep too.
Yeah.
So this card was a good unban.
The one thing about this card is you don't have to imprint it when you cast it. So you can play it and then just say go, And then your opponents have to look at you kind of suspiciously and say, if you have mana open, right, they're going to say, well, what are you going to imprint on that card? And then, so now you have this kind of game, like, you could just show your opponents, like, I want to put, like, a brainstorm on it. Okay, and your opponent's going to be like, who gives a... Okay. No one cares if you put a brainstorm on it.
Yeah.
I would like a factor fiction on this. Would you like to cast a factor fiction every turn?
Yeah.
I would love to do that.
Yeah. Having your opponents give you 3 or 2 cards. Yeah.
I would love that.
Most of the time, it is going to be a devastating card, even if casted once or twice. You don't put cards, I mean, even if it is a Swords to Plowshares, right? On your upkeep, okay, I'll remove it, because this can go in any deck. It's colorless.
Yeah.
So whatever you want to repeatedly cast on your upkeep, you are going to get something.
I think the trick with this card is you want to do things that don't affect your opponents. Because if you put, like, a Swords on it, they're going to say, oh, I don't want my creature sworded. And they're going to do whatever they can to remove this from the board. But if you just get something that's just kind of building your game plan, like a factor fiction, they might not like it, of course, but it's not going to hurt them.
Mm-hmm.
So in that case, I think you're more likely to keep this around for a couple of turns.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to be really careful with the card that you want to put on it.
Overall, these cards, even though a lot of them weren't expected, I don't hate them. I was just anticipating more. A lot of the cards they did give reviews for, I think you read into that. Some of them were actually missing some reasoning.
I'm sure we'll have it up on the screen, or you can go take a look at the article. In the appendix that they listed, I'm going to just kind of read what it said here. It says, first, the list of cards that don't need a lot of additional explanation, either because they are classically powerful or they don't make sense for a commander. And then there's a list of like 15 cards here for which they do not give an explanation of why they are banned. And then for every other card that is on the ban list, they have a picture of the card and a nice like 4 sentences for each one or so, explaining why they believe that card should be banned. And for the most part, they make sense for the ones that they do give an explanation on. But there are a few cards on the ban list here at the top that they don't give any explanation on. They think that it's like assumed why you understand why they're banned. And I think a few of these, you shouldn't really assume why they're banned. And also there's a lot of new players in the game in the past few years who may not understand why some of these cards are banned. At the top of this list is Ancestral Recall.
Yes.
They have Ancestral Recall banned, and they give 0 explanation as to why it's banned. Especially in CEDH, we've talked about Rhystic Study.
Yeah.
And I think there's a good argument to be made that in a 4-player game, Rhystic Study will draw more cards than an Ancestral Recall.
Yes.
Not only will it draw more cards, it also force spikes your opponent if they want to stop you from drawing cards.
Correct.
Which they may not necessarily do. But the thing is that it completely changes the way the game is played. People are putting cards in their deck like Steel Enchantment to specifically deal with this one single card. Whereas Ancestral Recall, it gets you 3 cards once. People aren't going to warp their deck around to try to steal your Ancestral Recall. We haven't seen that. And so my question is, why is Ancestral Recall banned?
The cost barrier for most people. I think that is their big push on why those cards are pretty much permabanned from their perspective.
So because they're too hard to get?
They're too hard to get, yes.
Okay.
Not everyone can play Ancestral Recall. I'll just say that.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I'm okay with proxies, and obviously since Wizards controls this, they don't. So they're looking at it with the mentality of the accessibility for this card is slim to none. So the likeliness of them allowing people to play it is very unlikely.
I mean, ultimately, a lot of people do have proxies. You can just write a card with a pen and put it on there. I mean, play-wise, this card is definitely not on the level of Rhystic Study. At least I would argue that.
It could be deflected, swat.
It could be deflecting, swatted.
Yeah.
I think it should be played unbanned, but I just kind of wish that they would give an explanation.
A lot of these cards should deserve. I think you mentioned earlier, prior to the video, Library of Alexandria.
Sure.
I want to know an explanation for that. They should do an explanation, a thorough explanation of these, even though they're well known and they're permabanned from their eyes. A lot of the cards that they did keep banned that I did predict being unbanned. Bracket 3 reasoning, because a lot of those cards would be, I guess, devastating in that bracket. Prime time. The not Titan.
Right. What is he, a giant? I think he's a giant.
He is a giant.
Yeah, he's a giant.
He's a giant. I don't think he would get played, but is he very, very devastating in bracket 3?
The argument that they have here is that the game revolves around Primeval Titan entering and attacking, or you can blink it and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so as more and more non-basic lands get printed, he does become more and more powerful. And so I could see it, but the thing is that there's a lot of other cards that get non-basics onto the battlefield for similar mana values as this. And so I just see this as being repeatable. I don't know. Maybe I just got to see it first. But
yeah. What I predict what would happen if it was played in CEDH. It happened when it was the Dockside meta. People would play Dockside. Kinnan would play Dockside. Yuriko would play Dockside. How? Copying it.
Sure.
So you cast yours in it, then I would cast by copying your Titan.
Another card in the list that I don't know that I thought could come off is Sundering Titan. They chose to keep this card banned.
Yeah, that card, you can't play that in bracket 3,
can't.
right?
It's mass land destruction.
Yeah.
So I guess it's technically not mass land destruction. Like you could target like 5 lands on one player's side and just like destroy that one player.
Well,
but like even that would be
my perspective is mass is more than 1.
Yeah, sure. It destroys 5 lands.
Yes.
And it's probably not your own, most likely. So
yeah. What was their reasoning on it?
I can read it. This card is miserable at low power tables. It blows up tons of your opponent's lands and gets blinked, reanimated, and otherwise triggered time and time again. It's an unfun experience. It's possible that as brackets continue to increase adoption, maybe this would be an acceptable game changer, though even then, upgraded decks don't want mass land denial around. I'd say this is possible, but it's an uphill battle.
We're waiting for more adaptation of the bracket system, so once people I guess start using the bracket system more and adhering to the rules, then this hopefully will change the ban list.
Armageddon's not on the game changer list.
Correct.
And it's not banned either.
Correct.
So I don't understand. We're talking about consistency here. So
yeah.
I don't know. Any other cards on your mind there or
Nadu. I want Nadu.
You want Nadu back?
Yeah, I miss Nadu.
You're like your birds.
he wasn't that powerful.
He's not that powerful.
The new game changers, Patrick. Okay. What about these? Was it a good change or a bad change for these?
Teferi's Protection is the first one.
Yes.
I think this card is a definition of a game changer. You go in for the kill and they say, you can't do anything to me.
I personally don't see it as a game changer.
Okay, why?
Just because you attempt to kill somebody and they stop that.
Sure.
Fog.
It's like a fog, yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I wouldn't care if it was there or not. Like, I don't really play this card anyway because I don't think it's that interesting, but I don't think it should be there either, personally. This card is Humility. A card I've literally never seen casted outside of Cube. I think I've only seen it cast in Cube, where it was super cool. But I can imagine people not wanting to play this card, especially in a bracket 3 where it is so creature dominated and focused. Humility just says you don't get to play. And also, right, it's called Commander. Right, the game is called Commander, and that's a creature, and now it doesn't have any abilities.
Correct.
And it does nothing. Does it change the game? Yes.
Yes, it is.
Is it hard to get rid of? If you're playing Braids.
I guess
Braids can't beat Humility, but
Braids can't beat Humility. Yeah.
So humble, but
Braids can't kill any enchantments. Yeah.
There's like 2 black cards I think in sense can get rid of it, so I think this card is a game changer. I've never seen it cast though.
Yeah. It does get played in CEDH. Shorokai. Okay. Are you familiar with the washing machine?
Yeah.
It's a artifact commander vehicle, so it doesn't affect its commander, and it does a relatively good job when it does hit play. People are just trying to figure out how to get rid of it. Their Thassa's Oracles typically don't work when there's a humility in play.
Yeah.
So this card is, I could see it as a game changer.
The next card is Nareter of Veils. It's Planeswalker.
Yes, I honestly didn't foresee a lot of these cards.
Again, another card I cannot recall ever seeing this played in bracket 3.
I guess we play in a vacuum and we don't see these cards. We do have skewed perspectives. I mean, me and Patrick and our group of friends. I mean, everyone has their own different play experiences. So just take everything we say with a grain of salt.
Well, I mean, I play a lot of Spell Table. So most of my experience is through Spell Table, and those are random players.
Intuition. Do you play Intuition? It's a good tutor. It's like that card they recently unbanned.
Yeah, it is a good tutor. It's on the reserve list. It is a little pricey.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never played this card really, and I've never seen it cast.
Okay.
Yeah.
It is a very powerful card, and just like Gifts Ungiven, it sets you up. It puts cards in the graveyard for a combo. It's an easy breach line combo after you cast it. So I could see it being a very devastating swing on someone's end step.
Consecrated Sphinx.
I've seen a lot of these hit the table. What typically happens is I get a Consecrated Sphinx, and then someone copies the Consecrated Sphinx, and then those two players draw their deck, and then the game is done. And the other two players are like, "Whoa!" Yes, I think this was an excellent put on a game changer.
I agree.
Yeah.
So the problem with this card, especially at lower brackets, if you cast this card and it comes back to you, the game's over.
Wow.
Like, I mean, basically, you're playing blue, so you have like counter spells and ways to protect this card. And also, it's whenever anyone draws a card, right? So, like, people draw cards all the time in Commander. They tap their Library of Alexandria and they draw a card. So, this card just is so ridiculous. And also, maybe some players don't quite understand just how to play against this card. Like, if they're kind of newer and they're just like, oh, yeah, I'm just going to draw my cards. And, like, they don't understand, like, the worst thing you can do is draw cards against this card while it's on the battlefield. And so, yeah, it should definitely be a game changer.
Yeah. I completely agree.
Next is Necropotence.
This card gets a lot.
I don't know how this wasn't on a game changer.
This probably, I know they wanted to limit the game changers at the beginning because they didn't want to overwhelm people. Yeah. But people are just now are asking for a lot more game changes. And this is probably, I mean, turn 1 Necro and CEDH is so good. Having lower brackets have access to this card is very, very spooky.
Format defining and doesn't even exist. And another, it's kind of weird. So Bowmasters is next. Definitely a game changer. But also it's different. Like, I don't think people in bracket 3s are drawing quite as many cards as in CEDH. And there's not as many Ristic studies running around. So Bowmasters is actually a nice card to keep those Ristic studies in check.
I would love to see a lot more of those cards to keep Ristic Study in check prior to it being potentially banned. I want to see a meta where we counter the Ristic Study with a Hull Reacher and potentially a Leo Vault. Yeah. Something along those lines.
I mean, the next card on the list is Notion Thief, which is kind of similar. It's that preventing.
If he was a 3/2, I think he'd be a lot better.
I did not expect to see this card.
Yes.
Were you expecting this? Notion Thief?
No. Far from it. Along with Narset, their reasoning with that was people who played wheel effects, obviously. Sure. It would be very game changer.
But that was a very specific, like, you're playing like Nika Sword, like you're playing a very specific type of deck. It doesn't really work in like a large amount of decks. And you also have to have 2 cards in your hand and a lot of mana. Like Narset plus a wheel is 6 mana. So
it's difficult. I want to say it's not an easy combo, but when it does happen, it is very devastating.
It's probably game over.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does end the game.
You draw 28 cards and your opponents discard their hand.
Next card is Deflecting Squad.
Free counterspell. I think it was a good choice on their end.
Yeah.
This card is very good, especially in Rogsai, right? They cast their commander for 0, and they potentially have 2 counter spells, one of them being a deflecting swat.
Yep.
Yeah.
And even, I play a lot of blue, and so I have to always keep in mind, are they red, and do they have a commander on the battlefield? Because I always have to keep this card in mind. It is that good. There's not a lot of cards that I think, do they have that card? And I always think, do they have a deflecting swat?
Yeah.
Because I always want to target myself with Ancestral Recall. So,
yes.
it's one of those. The next one is Gamble.
Okay, the red tutors. I personally don't see this as a game changer.
Okay.
It is a tutor, a 1 red tutor. You have that probability, right? The less cards in your hand, the worse it is. And I guess the more cards in your hand, the more advantageous it is. It's a weird card to me. I personally don't think it's a game changer.
I mean, it's very powerful.
It does get you any card.
It does get you any card. It's not restricted, so it's like a vampiric tutor straight into your hand. You don't lose any life. I mean, that's a pretty damn good card.
I guess so. The gambling is very, I don't know. It's fun.
Yeah.
And
exciting.
It is exciting.
Yeah.
It is exciting. I've discarded a Thassa Oracle with 20 cards in my hand.
It's a 5% chance.
It does happen.
5%.
It does happen.
The other cool thing about Gamble is it does go to your graveyard. And so it's not the worst place it could be. It's better than in your deck.
Yeah,
probably.
Yeah. Some people coined it the Red Entomb.
Sure, the Red Entomb. Okay. Should it be a game changer? I would say most likely.
Okay.
Most likely. Worldly Tutor. Definitely a game changer.
Yeah. You're playing green. You have probably one of the more powerful creature color deck.
Yeah. Everyone knows that creatures are.
Green has powerful creatures, and green probably the only thing going for it, in my opinion.
Powerful creatures.
Yeah, powerful creatures. So putting a creature, getting that creature you need is very ideal.
It's funny you said that's the only thing green has going for it, because if you play a lot of bracket 3, everyone says, a good argument is that green is the most powerful. It has everything. It has ramp, it has card draw, it has the best creatures. What else more do you need? Mono green is so good. Okay, the next card on the list is Crop Rotation. God, that card's good.
It is so good.
It's so good.
It is so good. I mean, lands are very difficult to interact with.
But the only thing that green does that's good is get creatures. So
it does get, the only thing it does is get creatures.
It only gets creatures, so who cares about Crop Rotation? This card's terrible. We don't need to talk about this card. The next card is Seedborn Muse. Oh, it's a green creature? What's this green creature?
You get it with Worldly Tutor.
Oh, okay, you get it with Worldly Tutor.
You just play with everybody else.
Yeah.
The
and
cards
you Crop Rotation, and you get your Gaia's Cradle. And then you untap it every turn with your Seedborn Muse.
Yeah.
Seems fair.
You just play with everybody at the same time. It's very, very...
And your turns take forever.
Yes.
Because you get to use your mana every turn.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very powerful.
Natural Order.
Puts creatures into play for 4 mana.
Yeah.
I mean, I personally prefer Finale of Devastation.
Okay.
It can get a card back in the graveyard and put a card into play through your deck. I honestly, putting creatures into play is good, but there's a lot. I mean, they just printed another one in Tarkir, very similar to Finale of Devastation.
Okay.
Yeah, there's Neoform. There's a lot.
The one that scares me, that's even worse than this, I think, is Defense of the Heart. And especially in bracket 3, which is creature-based primarily, everyone's going to have multiple creatures on the battlefield. Because if you're not familiar with Defense of the Heart, if your opponent has 3 creatures on the battlefield, it's an enchantment, you sack it, and you get to search your deck for 3 creatures and put them on the battlefield. And if your deck is built around that, you could just win the game right there.
Yes.
Defense of the Heart, I think, is way scarier than Natural Order.
Yeah. Natural Order, you need a green creature, correct?
You just need 1 green creature,
Yeah. I mean, you are playing green.
You play your Landwar Elf, you sack it.
Yes.
The next card is Food Chain.
Alright. This, I was very... Is Food Chain and Squee a 2-card infinite? Is it?
Doesn't it get you infinite
Creature mana.
Yeah.
You still need an outlet. You still need a payoff.
You have to have something to do with it.
Yes, and it's only creature mana.
Okay.
So, I personally don't think this one card is a game changer.
So it's too narrow.
Very, very narrow.
There's another card I've never seen cast. Never seen it cast.
Yeah, I guess, like, I guess it's just not in our play groups or in the brackets that you see play. I guess maybe bracket 2 and 1 we're seeing these played.
Next card, did not foresee this one. It's a green-white enchantment.
Aura Shards.
Aura Shards.
I forgot about this card, and then when they brought it up, I'm like, do I play Aura Shards to get rid of these stupid Ristic Studies?
Yeah.
I'm like, I could attack and just start popping those Ristic Studies off.
Yeah.
And CEDH is probably a bit slow.
So the question is this a game changer in 3? The answer is probably yes. I read their description on why they added this, and they said they were okay with something like a Vandal Blast, which blows up everything. Once is fine. But the issue is that in a green-white deck, these decks tend to have like crazy amount of token generators and things like that. So it's very easy, if someone cannot remove the Aura Shards, you basically get to lock down the board of all enchantments and artifacts if things you can't get rid of.
I could see this being an issue in bracket 1 and 2.
Sure.
Yeah.
In 3, I don't know. I think you should be able to build your deck that is resilient. And if your deck is so dependent upon, a couple mana rocks or something, or a specific enchantment on the battlefield. Okay, the next one, I think this was a very good one, was Field of the Dead. So this is the reaction right here.
I didn't see this at all.
Okay.
Give me the worst case scenario of Field of the Dead.
So this is what happened basically with Field of the Dead. It's normally played in land decks. So they also have access to things like a Glacial Chasm. And they would also be able to sack it, and they'll have like a Crucible of Worlds, and they can replay their lands, etc. You can't really attack them due to a Glacial Chasm. They have a lot of Tutors that get crop rotation, was one of them. So, I mean, if you just go with crop rotation, Field of the Dead, that's 2 cards right there. So you have to make your third choice. But Field of the Dead, basically, they would just have a bunch of lands. They would, So it was just very hard to interact with. And all they had to do was put lands on the battlefield, and they would make this massive army.
But, I mean, like, Nadu's banned, so you can't even put lands into play. I don't even know how that works. So, I don't understand their perspective.
Yeah. I mean, do people play Field of the Dead in CEDH? I don't think so.
They did with Nadu.
Okay, in one deck.
In one deck, one deck they did.
Because that was one of the only decks that could get enough land on the battlefield.
Yeah, yeah.
Because CEDH doesn't really revolve around lands.
Yeah, there is a mono green deck that recently came out from Bloomborough. But yeah, there is a deck that plays lands, but I don't even know if that plays Field of the Dead in the list.
Mishra's Workshop. I mean, I think this card changes the game. It gives you 3 mana a turn.
I think they were just trying to do their due diligence with some of it and equalize their reasonings for like the library, right? Why are these cards on there that are very powerful, but not this? They didn't want the bracket 1 guy to put a $3,000 card in their deck, I guess.
Okay. Yeah. Screw you, bracket 1. You don't get to play with Workshop. Alright, and then they took 2 cards off the Game Changers list.
Yes.
Did not see this coming. So the first one is Trinisphere.
Yeah, bracket 1 now has Trinisphere.
Bracket 1 has Trinisphere. I don't think it's good in bracket 1.
If you're yes.
I don't think it's good.
In bracket...
This card, Trinisphere, is more powerful the more powerful the deck is.
Yes.
Right, because it's all about 0 and 1 mana cards.
In the lower brackets, your games go longer.
And you have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 mana cards, and Trinisphere doesn't affect those cards at all.
Yeah.
So
I mean, the early game, I guess it is somewhat annoying.
Yeah, it's annoying.
Yeah.
Outside of that, it's not. And the last card here is Trouble in Pairs.
this was very... We talked about this previously, and we were explaining this card to our friend, and we were saying how strong this card is. You don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
They play the game, your opponents play the game, and then you get card advantage.
If you're not familiar with Trouble in Pairs, whenever your opponent plays their second card, draws their second card, or attacks
Yes.
With 2 creatures, you get to draw a card.
And can't take extra turns.
And they can't take extra turns.
Mm-hmm.
Very important in bracket 1. So, I don't know. It just draws you cards for them playing the game. It does give you a lot of cards. It's probably not Ristic Study level, but I think there's a good argument that Ristic Study shouldn't exist in this format. So, I don't know. This card easily draws at least 3 cards around, most likely more than that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, a lot of lower bracket guys are attacking with tokens or creatures, correct?
Yep.
You're just getting card value.
And they're going to draw 2 cards.
Yeah.
They're going to play 2 spells.
So overall, after all these unbannings, do you think let's start off with the lower brackets, bracket 1 and 2. Do you think these cards coming off the unbanned list? I mean, those are, bracket 1, you're playing very, very fringe decks, but now they have access to some of these cards.
I don't think it's going to really do anything.
Oh, okay.
99%, it's not going to do anything.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I'm in bracket 3, and a lot of these cards I just don't even see played. And so, even in bracket 3, I don't think a lot of these cards will make much of an impact. Like, the most ones that would affect bracket 3, definitely Teferi's Protection.
All
see
right.
that card often.
All right.
Worldly Tutor, Deflecting Swat, Crop Rotation, Seedborn Muse, Field of the Dead.
Wow, Field of the Dead that high?
Field of the Dead for sure.
Oh, okay.
For
very,
sure.
very difficult to interact with.
Yeah.
Maybe Strip Mine should be in your bracket 3 deck.
I'd love to play Strip Mine. With hopefully I also have an Exploration and a Crucible, so I can multiple Strip Mines.
Well, no, you can't,
Oh, real quick, super tangent. What?
you can't do that.
What?
Mass land destruction, right?
That's not mass land destruction. That's not mass land destruction.
A lot of these are for the brackets we're not considering 1 and 2.
Yeah.
They just wanted to take these tools away from those guys so they have a better play experience. And now moving on to bracket 4 and 5. Honestly, very, very little difference. It's still
the only thing that affects those brackets is the bans and the unbans, right? Because they have unlimited game changers.
Yeah, we have unlimited game changers. So the bans, the unbans, I mean, Gifts Ungiven is probably the only one.
Yeah.
Panoptic Mirror can go in any deck. People will try to play that. I mean, there's ways to put the artifacts into play at end step, on your end step. You can Whir of Vengeance at your end step, and then on my turn, I can tap it, put something on there, and now I have infinite turns.
Sure.
So it does, that might get played, but it is out there.
So Panoptic Mirror maybe, Coalition Victory no.
If you want to have fun, Coalition,
If you want to have fun, Braids,
unlikely.
unlikely, Sway of the Stars,
Again, unlikely.
unlikely, Gifts Ungiven.
Yes.
Interesting.
Any deck, Kennen can play that.
Yeah.
I want to thank you for coming by and talking about this. And now a big thanks to my patrons. Seriously, thank you for all the support. Starting off with our content consumers, Big Yoda, Marcus, Troy, Rodrigo, Gwendolyn, and our newest patron, Turd Ferguson. Moving on to our tier 3 cardboard cutouts, we have Wong, Matt, Albert, and Joyner. Thank you again, and if you'd like to support the channel, please head to patreon.com/cardboardcontent. See you guys next time for more content.